He even asked this Christ to remember him when he came into his kingdom. How encouraging, as a side note here, how encouraging it is that this man was a candidate for grace right up to the very end. Right into the very end. The implication of this is that there is no one who is not a candidate for grace if they're still breathing. This is encouragement to us this morning. Now, do you think the criminal to Jesus' other side, to his left, responded in the same way, with that same change of heart and the same humility? Well, of course, Scripture says he didn't. It appears that the man to Jesus' left continued in his rebellion. He continued in his mockery. He had broken God's law during his life. That's part of the reason he was on a cross. He was now mocking God in death, and so he died and presumably went to hell. Now, as we said earlier, Christ had been crucified between them, between the two criminals. So if you were to look at Calvary, if you were looking at the events taking place that day, you would have seen Jesus in the middle with the man to the right and the man to the left. Now, I think in the past I've mentioned this is not an accident. This is not a coincidence. In Matthew 25, we read these words: "When the Son of Man comes in his glory, and all the holy angels with him, then he will sit on the throne of his glory." This has bearing on this morning's text in Revelation 20. "All the nations will be gathered before him, and he will separate them from one another, as a shepherd divides his sheep from his goats. He will set the sheep to his right hand and the goats to his left." If you were to have looked, again, at the three men crucified that day on Calvary, you would have seen a visual representation of what all of Scripture makes clear, that Jesus Christ is the line of demarcation between those who are being saved and those who are not. Jesus Christ is the way, the truth, the life. He is the door. He is the singular means, the pivot point, the hinge on which eternity turns. Jesus Christ, and this is depicted with clarity by the events of Calvary. The two thieves on Calvary represented all of humanity, with the person and work of Jesus Christ as the door that separates the two that one must enter in order to be saved. And if that's true, and we believe it is, if that's true, then eternity must be predicated on the basis of how you and I respond to him.